It's a whole new week here on the Audible. Kim Bokamper, John Congemi with you. A lot of stuff going on out there with the Dolphins. This is a big weekend for the Dolphins. Not from a football standpoint. They've got their annual Fins weekend.
That's right.
Now, this opportunity, off-season, time to get all those things done. So they'll have a golf tournament on Friday. They'll have a fishing tournament on Saturday.
Couple parties.
And then some parties and stuff like that. So other than that, John, that's the news for the Dolphins.
That's the news for the week.
Not a whole lot.
You know what, though, Bo? It's an exciting time for the rookies and for the guys that go out and really partake with Dolphin fans and be in the community and go out and raise some money for the Miami Dolphins Foundation. There's a lot of good things happening in South Florida this weekend, and the Dolphins are part of it.
It's always interesting to see the rookies when they come in and they get caught up in some of the stuff that goes on with the team, and they obviously get put into it. And, you go to a cocktail party, a fishing tournament, a golf tournament or whatever, and you see those guys there, and they kind of just get thrown into it. And they kind of, for a while, you look at them, they're kind of starry-eyed looking around a little bit and everything.
That's right.
But it's good for them to get an opportunity to meet the veteran players, meet the coaches in a different setting, in a more comfortable, more easygoing setting, so they can kind of ease in a little bit. But then next week they come right back. And the first OTA stage, I guess it's stage 3.
I don't know if it's 2 or 3.
I think they're 3. One was no coaches in the field. They just finished stage 2, where coaches get out there and work with the guys. And then I think this is a week where they'll get out and they'll actually practice. They'll get their helmets on and they'll do this and that. And the rookies will get the opportunity to get out in the field with the veterans the first time. And it's funny, I was talking to one of the guys with the team, and I said, it's funny how you get up there sometimes. And John, you and I get up there a lot of times, sit with the media guys and watch this thing. And I know we usually try to get away from that a little bit because the conversation we're having was, it's funny how you go to these things, OTAs, especially on the first day, within the first 10 minutes, and you listen to some of the media guys.
Some of the guys are cut.
Oh, geez, this guy can't make it. And I always think to myself, you're up here judging a kid that's on an NFL practice field for the first time in his life with all these guys around him. And I remember Brandon Doughty last year when he was out there, threw a ball high and outside, and they go, oh, look at that. Look at that. He missed the guy. And I'm thinking, don't you think that guy hit a little adrenaline pumping through him?
A little bit.
When he threw that football, his first pass in an NFL practice. But they don't take that into account, the emotions that these guys are going through. And I'm telling you what, I don't care where you're drafted. You walk out on the field for the first time in a situation like that.
I would think you're a little nervous.
You're a little nervous. You're a little, where do I line up? Where do I go? Where do I get in line? Do I stand behind that guy? There's a whole protocol that you kind of go through there.
Well, just think of the mindset of some of these guys that go out there for the first time. They've been big man on campus for the last 2, 3, 4 seasons, and there's nothing that they couldn't do. And anything their coaches asked them to do, they probably figured out, we've got this handled. I can control whatever my environment is, I control it. Now, there are small fish in a big pond, and there's a lot of guys out there with a lot of experience, a lot of different set of eyeballs on these players, and different expectations. You're swimming mentally because you're trying to catch up to the play call, in for instance, for Brandon Doughty, trying to catch up with the guys talking in your ear, trying to get the verbiage down and get it communicated, and then go out and play and let your physical tools take over. So there's a lot of different things that I would think rookies for the first time go through in a setting of phase 3 for OTAs that they feel like they're rookies all over, or freshmen all over again.
There's been a little bit of an equal playing field for these guys over the last decade or so, because you've had new coaches, new head coaches, you've had different coordinators. There's always seemed like every year it was something new. So it's going to be tougher for the rookies this year because they've got everything's coming back. All the veterans know what the system is. They know what the schemes are. They know what the terminology is. There's no learning curve for them. Last few years, they've had a learning curve with the rookies trying to learn what was going on. Now they know exactly, the rookies. So now it's going to make the rookies even a bigger step behind than they have been with this football team in the past. So it'll be interesting to see. But there are a lot of these rookies. Certainly you want to go see, you want to see Harris. You want to see what he's going to do. You want to see what Trubinsky. You want to see what he's going to do. All these guys are going to get the opportunity. Tankersley, Raekwon McMillan. You want to see these guys that are going to have a chance to go out there and compete and see how they compete, see how they fit in, see how they handle themselves out there on the football field. And it's going to be, I think, based on everything I've heard and seen and talked to guys around here, that this can be a pretty smooth class getting in, because they're all very high caliber guys that have played at high levels, and guys that are here wanting to compete in a big way.
big IQ, football IQ is huge on every one of these draft choices. One guy might be a two-time captain. Another guy would be a captain as a junior. Another guy led the Buckeyes in back-to-back seasons in total tackles. There's a lot of expectations, I think, on this draft class because they can help right away in certain positions. You talk about depth at defensive tackle. You got two guys that can compete there. Rush end, you got a linebacker, you have a corner that might be able to challenge inside for a nickel corner position. Special teams are always, that I think Darren Rizzi is probably going to get the most out of the first couple phases. Watching guys run, watching guys take certain angles, watching guys break down and being able to play the game of football in space because it's a lot faster now at the NFL level. So there's a lot of things to take into consideration. And I think the Miami Dolphins, Bo, do a great job of not going out and getting on the field for 3 days just with the rookies. They get them in the classroom. They try to get them up to speed in the playbook, expectations, where to go, what to do, what we expect out of each and every drill. And I think they may get more out of these guys, holding them back off the field and just introducing it with the whole squad.
And they've got their feet on the ground a little bit. I'm sure they've had some portion of the playbook with them since they left here from their first rookie indoctrination, went home with some of that so they can study up and be ready to go. So, I think it's fine. I think it's a good way to get these guys involved and get them involved in a proper way when they get ready to step out on the field. If you're watching us on Periscope. You can send your questions in via the message bar on the bottom. And today, let's try to do this. We talked about it on Friday with Joe Rose that this team, depending on who you talk to, Las Vegas, 7.5, 6.5 is the over and under for this football team. So I'm going to ask you as the listeners or viewers out there that are watching the show, listening to the show, when you send in a question, even if you don't have a question, send in your number and tell me why. Why do you think the Dolphins are going to be better or worse than that 7.5 number? And so let me give you a chance to give us some feedback on what you think of that. 7.5 to me is after winning 10 games last year, and I think everybody believes that this football team, John, is better in a number of different ways than they were last year. From a standpoint of personnel, they're better. And I think B, a standpoint from understanding what they want to do and understanding where they want to get to. And the fact that Adam Gase and his staff is a year further ahead of where they were last year at this time. I'm not, it doesn't bother me at all, but I'm a little bit surprised at a 7.5 number. I could see an 8 or a 9, but 7.5 seems a little short to me.
It's funny, Bo. Every time you think about Vegas and you think about odds and you look at over and unders and you go, man, these guys are pretty good at what they do. And 7.5 is a tough number for me, coming from the fact that I think this Dolphin team is better talent-wise.
Yes.
Now, when you take a look at the schedule and see how it matches up, I think that's where the odds makers are kind of going, you know what, this is a rougher patch for the Miami Dolphins to kind of find their way through. You start at home, but then you go on the road for 3 consecutive weeks, even though you're the home team in London in week 4. This team has to start fast if they're going to get to 8, 9, 10 wins. And when you write 10 wins down, it's not as easy as people make it out to be. 10 wins in the National Football League is a very tough number to accomplish.
Well, look at New England. I think New England is 14. Their number is 14.
Wow.
I mean, and you know what? It tells you what they think of the gap between the Dolphins and the New England Patriots. I mean, 14, and I don't know if I've ever seen a number like that out there. That doesn't give you
Tom better be Tom terrific in 2017 to get there. That's right.
All right, let's go ahead and hit some of these questions. Stavros Marino, 1982. Well, what position battles will be the best to watch in camp? Well, I think linebacker is going to be a great battle out there. I think between Congemi and Raekwon McMillan, I think that's going to be a good battle. And I think anywhere you look in the secondary, it's going to be pretty interesting to see what goes on, especially at the cornerback spot.
I agree with that. I think corner is going to be a position that could fluctuate week in and week out once we get into preseason. Getting there, I think you're going to have pretty much cemented starters, but you're going to have a lot of rotation to see challenging guys, trying to push guys. But as we move along to preseason games, I think the younger guys are going to get some play early and get a good chance to maybe unseed some of those guys, or at least vie for some playing time. And I would throw offensive line in there again. We say that every year for the Miami Dolphins, but especially on the inside. Who's getting reps crossing over for Mike Pouncey, who may not practice a whole lot once we get to training camp and we get into the preseason, trying to save him for the regular season? Who's getting those reps and who's performing at guard center or center guard, however you want to take a look at that, first or second, that could be a big position to see where the competition weeds itself out.
And there's a couple other things. I want to look at Leonte Carew. Yeah. I want to see if Carew made a step forward. Duarte, the tight end out of UCLA last year. See if he's got himself to the point where he can get up and be dressed sometimes and participate. So you look at some of those individual battles like that and see how they stack up. So it's look, I'm interested to see Tony Lippett. I want to see how Tony Lippett, if he can build on what he learned last year with the amount of playing time he got. So I think there's a lot. I think there's going to be a lot of great stories and a lot of great things to watch during training camp this season.
I think it's going to be interesting to see some of those guys. You mentioned Tony Lippett. Kenyon Drake, Can he take the next step? Can he be the guy that comes out of the backfield, catches passes like Williams did last year in tandem? And who's got that 20, 30-yard explosive play mentality? Who can do that for the Miami Dolphins? Because you look back last year, it was Kenny Stills on the outside that had those explosive plays, those plus 20s, those plus 30-yard plays. And can Devontae Parker, develop in taking some pressure off? So you have that luxury on the outside that opens up the middle for, guys like Julius that can make plays up the middle.
Well, breaking news out there, Brian Gain, former Dolphins and Texan, hired as the vice president of player personnel for the Buffalo Bills. Good opportunity for him to move up and do some different things.
Yeah, he was great while he was here. Had a good relationship. Actually saw him in Indianapolis at the Combine, kind of walking down the streets one of those raw, windy days, and had a good chat with him, and good for him. He's a good person.
Yep. A lot of, I tell you, that's the other thing. You look at people are kind of looking at the Dolphin coaches and making moves on them, which tells you a little bit more about what they're doing. Here's a good question. Here's a black man game. Do you think we'll add any more players before camp? I wouldn't be surprised.
Hey, we were talking beforehand. You mentioned a guard.
Well, the next question is, Orlando Franklin, the San Diego Chargers, L.A. Chargers. They drafted the kid Lamp out of
Western Kentucky.
The guy that a lot of people thought the Dolphins would take when they had their pick in the draft. San Diego took, or LA took him, so they released Orlando Franklin. I think he was due to make, I want to say $6.5 million this year, but with the situation, I think LA is responsible for all but $3.5 million. So he's a guy out there that can really help. He's a true guard that can step in and play for this football team. He played tackle. I would think there's interest there, but I think their interest with the Dolphins would be obviously based on what he's going to command, money-wise, and how many people are out there and going to be shopping around for a guy like Orlando Franklin.
I think Orlando Franklin with the price tag could be one of those late additions to an NFL roster. You kind of get into camp, you see what you have, you get into pads. You feel real good about your roster and your depth at the guard position, or you don't.
Yep.
And you should know right away. I think the Dolphins took their time last year, but then finally made a definitive decision, said we need to be better, got rid of some people on the roster, gave other people opportunities. I think Orlando Franklin kind of falls into that July window, maybe August window, where you're trying to say we need to be better. If he's still on the street, maybe somebody scoops him up.
Yeah, but I think he certainly is a guy that's interesting to look at and to think about. And the other thing is the kid from the Jets. He was Nick Mangold.
Mangold's
still
center.
out there. Another guy that's out there. But I think Mangold to me would be more of a backup type of a guy if that were to happen out there. Where are we at here? At 78 Ford guy. Hey, Bo, what do you think our hardest game this year? Well, you know what? Until you
the first one,
until you unseat them, New England. Anytime you show up for them, that's going to be your toughest game of the year. Because you know what? You know what the thing about New England is? Everybody knows New England. Everybody knows where it's. And hey, Leon, I just X'd out of this, so I need someone to come. There I am. I'm back.
We're good, Leon.
Until you can figure out a way to beat New England.
He hits buttons back there sometimes.
Unless you figure out a way to beat New England, or beat them once out of two times, or hopefully sweep them. That's always going to be your hardest game. Look, first of all, New England gets everybody's best, so they're used to playing teams that come in with a chip on their shoulder that want to knock off the mighty New England Patriots, especially at home. So the Dolphins are going to have to play their best game to beat them. And I think beating New England once, beating New England twice, I think that's the biggest goal they should have this year, to figure out a way to knock them off and legitimately knock them off once and maybe twice. Look, Jarvis Landry when he was over in London. threw the gauntlet out, said, "Hey, we should beat them twice."
I think it's great that he did that.
And I don't think that changes.
Everybody circles New England on their schedule.
absolutely.
I mean, that's their Super Bowl right there. If they can beat New England, they know where they stand as a team. They know where they stand in their division. So I think New England plays 16 of those games every year. The Miami Dolphins have to find a way to win their division. They have to find a way to win the AFC East. And we've talked about this for the last 8 seasons that we've kind of been together doing this. It's about the AFC East. How many games can you dominate against the Bills, the Jets, and the Patriots? If you can come out of there 5-1, it's great. You're golden. You're going to get to 9, 10, 11 wins. If you go 4-2 and 3-3, now you're scratching. You're searching for victory. So I agree with you. New England's going to be the toughest game on the schedule, the toughest matchup, but they face that every week. I think the Dolphins have to get through week number 1 because you don't know your identity until you play a couple of games. But I would say New England, obviously, you have to try to find a way to beat them.
And then you talked about, look, you got to go to London and play New Orleans in a game, and then New Orleans going to have Adrian Peterson running the football.
That's right.
That's going to be an early test of what
for
your
the run defense
is going to be like this year, or how it's going to be different than what we saw last year. So, look, there's a lot of big games out there. Look, every game's a big game. But obviously, New England is – man, why do I keep doing this?
There we go. They're firing questions at us today.
At the Lamelo Ortiz, if Julius Thomas doesn't work out, will we look at Fasano to start? No. They're not looking at Anthony Fasano as a starter. And I think everybody in this organization, everyone sitting in this room, in this building, will be disappointed if Julius Thomas isn't your starter. Think about Julius Thomas. You can open in base formation, or you can go out and spread the field.
Out.
He's still going to be out there.
Yes. I think you're right, Bo. I think everybody's got a role to play. We talked about corners and Xavier Howard and Tony Lippett. Those guys are going to have roles to play on this football team. But Julius Thomas is the starter at tight end. He's the playmaking tight end that this organization went out to get in Jacksonville. And they want to see a healthy guy, number one, but they want to see the production in an Adam Gase offense and even close to what he did as a Denver Bronco. That's the expectation of this football team. That's where Ryan Tannehill wants to have a threat down the middle of the field. Get a guy with the football on the edge and let him break a tackle and use his speed down the rail for 6 points. So, yes, I do believe that he's considered your starter, and if he's not, the Dolphins have questions at tight end.
Yeah, and if you're going to go to Anthony Fasano, you're going to be running the ball a lot.
Yes, you're going to be in a lot of power formation.
He's a designated.
He's caught maybe 20 to 22 passes over the last 2 seasons as a tight end. He's going to be able to get you in short yardage, maybe goal line stuff, play action, get him open.
He's your designated run guy.
That's right. He's your big tight end.
At King Edlin, Jakeem Grant, small guy, should play a bigger role this year. Can he be a true gimmick guy? I think he's a guy that, if you can find a way and you get him in a position where you can get him and use him as a mismatch guy at certain times in your offense, not for a steady diet, maybe half a dozen times a game. The caveat being, if he doesn't catch punts, he's not going to be here and he won't be playing anything else. That is his sole responsibility this year during training camp, is to catch every punt that comes his way, whether it's in practice or whether it's games, because if he leaves the ball on the ground during games, I don't think he makes this roster, John.
Can't be said much better. He's a prove-it type of guy for me this year, and he proves it first by catching punts. If he's not a threat on special teams, either in kick return or punt return, this is cruel, but it's a wasted roster spot because you cannot allow a dynamic player like that to be on the sidelines. You almost want to force feed your offense to get him in to make a mismatch on the slot, get him in motion, get him the football on a fly sweep, get him somewhere on the outside where he can make one guy miss and you can't catch him. We saw what he could do when he executes well on special teams as a returner. But if he can't be used 100% in those and be trusted, when you're back inside your 10-yard line catching punts, then there's not a roster spot available for a player like that.
And look, they gave him plenty of opportunity. There were times last year, San Diego's a good example, left the ball in the ground in the end zone, and he went over, or just out of the end zone, went over the sideline, The Dolphins made a big defensive stand, and they put him right back in the next punt.
That's right.
And so, they gave him, they certainly supported him. They certainly gave him the belief that they were behind him. So,
the good thing, he went out and worked at it this offseason.
This kid's done a lot this offseason. I give him
really
a lot
done
of credit.
a lot of jobs.
He's brought Matt
year.
Darr out to wherever he's working out, catching as many footballs as he can. So, look, he knows
He's prepared.
He knows as well as anybody what his responsibility is coming into training camp. At D. Dalton, my man Darren Dalton, who's been dressed? He's my clothing critique.
Oh, nice.
D. Dalton, who's been dressing Bo lately? I can't criticize anymore. Dang. I don't know if that's good or bad. I don't know if you're taking a shot at my
I think
shirt
he
here.
likes it, Bo. I actually like that.
I think I like this shirt. I've been going for different shirts.
Yeah.
It's funny because I like plaids and stuff, and I wear a plaid in here, and they
beat you up with the plaids?
They beat me up. They think I'm wearing like a
playing tic-tac-toe.
No, they're like I'm wearing a tablecloth or something. I think I wore a red and white plaid, and they said I was wearing a bad tablecloth from a bad Italian restaurant.
That's
or something.
Bad.
So,
you look good today, Bo.
I feel pretty good.
D. Dalton trying to take shots at the plaid, man.
No. I think he
compliment today.
I think this is a compliment. I think he likes what I'm wearing, so I can't criticize anymore. Don't worry. I'll wear something soon that you can criticize, believe me. All right, here we go. King Edlin, more than 7.5 because of defensive depth, offensive weapons, and winning culture. I couldn't have said it any better. I think the defensive depth has gotten better. It got better because of the players they drafted. It also got better because of the guys that played last year.
And they retained
the guys
certain
that kept
guys.
That played a lot last year certainly made it better. I'm with you. The offensive weapons, the only concern you have in the offense, if you look around, is maybe that guard position. Mm-hmm. And that, to me, is not an overwhelming concern on this football team. And certainly the winning culture, we hope, goes a long way. So, King, I think he hit boom, boom, boom. You threw 3 right down the middle.
Yeah. Punch him out.
Yeah.
Punch him out.
Get him out of here.
I like it. I like what he said, especially about the culture. I think that means a lot mentality-wise. I think Adam Gase, his mentality is positive. It's direct. There's a lot of energy. There's no locker room vampires anywhere in the building. Guys are feeling positive. They know what their job is, and I think they're anxious to get out and win. Winning is the only thing on their mind. They're not considering negative thoughts. These guys have a one-track mind. They're going out to work, and they're going out to win.
Yeah.
Point blank.
The other thing is, I talked to a lot of coaches, a lot of different people that talk about the team and their mentality going in this year. And the mentality being, hey, they've got a good feeling about them. They've got confidence about them because they're a playoff team. Yet, when they came in for their OTA, when they came in to start their conditioning programs, they had to change the program because guys were in better shape than they thought. So it's not like guys were leaning on the past, living on what they did last year. They went out, they worked during the offseason. Dave Paloka, who's the strength and conditioning coach, had a program ready for him. He said, I need to up-tempo this a little bit.
Tweak this a little bit.
My boys came in a lot better shape than he thought they were, which says a lot about these guys. Hey, they feel good about what they did last year, but their goal is to get better and get farther. And they've come in and prepared to do that.
And, Bo, I think it says a lot about the expectation of what Adam Gase set from last year to this year's offseason. I think, those exit meetings, guys get the point. Hey, we won 10 games last year, but obviously it wasn't good enough because we were done 1 week into the playoffs. It wasn't good enough to carry over to get us to where we want to be. How do you get better? Well, you execute better, but you have to be in better shape to be able to stay on the field. And maybe your practices are shorter because you're in better condition. You get out, you get your work in, you get off the field, and you have your legs and you're better rested. So I think this is a team that, nutrition, the way they're going about their workouts, the way they're going about their running, the way they're staying in shape year-round. This is a team that's ready to hit the road going at 100%. And I think it'll help them get through this phase of OTAs, get them ready for the regular season.
And I think Coach Gay's conversations I've had with him and different people around the organization is that when they came for their exit physical, when they came for their exit interviews and all those types of things, it wasn't, hey, you had a great year. It was, hey, look it. I don't care what you did positive. These are the things you need to get better at. This is, if you want to be the type of player we want you to be and you want to be, these are the things you got to. And I don't care who it was. I don't care if it was from Jarvis Landry
all the top
down
to
the 53rd guy. I don't care who it was. I think his focus. Look, it wasn't to beat. He wasn't beating guys down.
No, he's telling them the
truth. Hey, you did some great things out here, but if you want to be where we want you to be, and we want to be where we want to be as a team, these things you need to get better at, and you need to work on.
That's the only way you can take the next step. How do the good teams stay good year after year? Well, they have positional breakdowns at certain positions where you're going in and saying, hey, we have the best quarterback in the league. We have one of the best coaches ever coached in the National Football League. But how can we collectively get better to help everybody else that are Hall of Famers?
Yep.
And I think for the Miami Dolphins right now, you look at the roster. Yes, you've got Ndamukong Suh, you've got Cam Wakes, you've got a guy at Jarvis Landry that catching the most balls over an X amount period anybody's ever done. But how does the core around them get better to make those guys carry less of a burden and the majority more?
Yeah. Black man game 10-6, better team but harder schedule. Winning wild card round. I'm like that. Win 10-6.
I'm
win a playoff
I'm good for that.
game.
I'm gonna sign myself up for that.
The one thing I don't worry about is schedule. I just don't worry about schedule, John. I don't. Everyone plays tough games. You never know what the team that you're going to play is going to be like on Sunday, from Sunday to Sunday. You never know if. I always said that, especially now in the NFL, the way it goes, there's a lot of fluidity to the schedule because hey, your running back pulls a hamstring. You're not the same team you were last week. Your quarterback goes down. You're not the same team you were. So I just don't worry about it. I fully believe 100% in the, hey, worry about this game. Let's play the game this week. Worry about these guys, and then we'll figure out who we play next week.
Yeah, I liked last year. Let's get 1-0, and then next week let's get 1-0. And I think this group this year, it has to go back to some of the things they drew upon that got them in situations to get that positive feeling, that positive role, and build that momentum. So winning is normal.
Yeah.
That hasn't been normal here for a long time.
Yeah.
To come in and feel like we're going to win this week.
Yeah.
I don't care what happens. We're better. We go out and play. We're going to win.
Yeah.
That culture has not gotten contagious within this building over the last 10 seasons.
Yeah.
And I think we're starting to weed out some of that bad thought and bad play and come in a little bit more positive and execute a little bit better.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about that. Dylan Tortero, here's a 12-4 win a playoff. 12-4 with a playoff win into the AFC Championship game. So I think he's counting on having like a little.
He's counting on going 5-1,
having that bye week, 5-1 in the AFC East.
Yeah.
Getting in their hand. Look, if you can get that bye week and get a home game, one game, like you said, you're right in the AFC Championship game. I like the way you think.
Could you imagine Hard Rock Stadium?
Oh, forget it.
This January with a home playoff game? That place would go nuts.
It would go nuts.
Yeah.
It would go absolutely nuts. At Man Called Jane, last year at this time, we thought Arizona was a loss and Tennessee was a sure win. I'll say 10-6. Well, that kind of goes to what
you were saying.
What I was saying. The fluidity of the schedule. You just don't know. You don't know weather-wise. You don't know who's going to be healthy, who's not going to be healthy, who expected to play well this year, and they're not having the same. You look at Carolina last year. They go to the Super Bowl, almost win the Super Bowl.
That's right.
All but for one play,
and they can't get out of their way.
And they can't get out. They can't even get out of the way the next year. So.
Yeah, it's hard. Year to year, the names stay the same, but the rosters and the way that the seasons roll out are different. You take Le'Veon Bell and you take Ben Roethlisberger out of the game he played down here at Hard Rock Stadium. Is a little different for a while. Different feeling. So the Miami Dolphins, they weren't the healthiest team in the National Football League last year. They had guys find ways to step up in certain roles and keep the winning going. But you're right, Bo. Depending on who's on the roster, who's playing and who's playing well at any given week 7, week 13, week 16, you never know.
David Coffin 7. Hey, Bo and John, any update on Pouncey? No update on Pouncey. I know that they're going to treat him with kid gloves through all these OTAs, through training camp. And he follows up with that. Do you think that he'll be ready for week 1? As a UK fan asking the question over in across the pond there. I think he'll be ready for week 1. I think they're going to do everything they can to make sure he's ready for week 1. I think they're going to do everything they can to make sure that they get 14 games at least out of Mike Pouncey, if not, every single game. So I think that's one of the premier goals of this football team is to keep him healthy throughout offseason, into regular season, and hopefully throughout the regular season.
We've seen what this offensive line can do with Mike Pouncey in the center, staying healthy, being able to be that tough run blocker, being able to organize the line blocking schemes, and being able to keep Ryan Tannehill upright and clean. And it's a big difference with Mike Pouncey in the football game. So you're hoping that he's going to be able to kind of glide through OTAs, glide through the beginning of training camp. He has enough knowledge, enough experience to be able to get by and do whatever he needs to do to be ready for week one. And I do believe he'll be ready for week one.
I do too. Yeah, I don't think there's any question. I think they're going to do whatever they can to have him ready. D. Dalton, thanks, Leon. You deserve more money.
Man.
Did D. Dalton send that in, or Leon, did you just punch that in yourself?
I think it was Leon. They sent that one in.
I'm not sure if he was criticizing my dress or was he promoting it? Leon, do you know?
Promotion.
He was good with
Thumbs
it?
up.
I don't know. Why is he thanking you then? I'm the one that dressed myself.
Did you see Leon's wearing today? Boy, man. He got a haircut and everything. He couldn't make that shirt look good anyway.
He got nicked.
I thought that was a part he was going. No. I thought Trey had a part here and he was trying to emulate what Trey was doing with his dude there.
At Kalestka, Matt Burke was linebacker coach, but that was a weakness last year. How will he do this year? I don't think you can put 2 and 2 together with there. I mean, you look at the injuries there. You're looking, you're playing with Donald Butler. You're playing with Spencer Payson. You're playing with Neville Hewitt. Really the only guy, and he wasn't healthy at the end of the year, was Kiko Alonso. He was playing with a cast for the last month of the year. So I don't think you can put that on Matt Burke. I know this within the building. There's a lot of very, very good feelings about Matt Burke. Talk about, I know there's talk about him tightening up the defense a little bit, getting guys to do their assignments, stop running around blocks, doing all those types of things. I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised with Matt Burke. Look, he's going to keep the same scheme, same terminology, all the things that will allow the team to get better.
Well, we thought Vance Joseph had a lot of energy last year and, was a good coach, was a good communicator. I think Matt does the same thing. He's a high-energy guy. He's going to be able to communicate well with his players, and now he's controlling the entire defense. I think, Dolphin fans should be excited for what we see on the defensive side of the football. There has to be improvement. For all the good things that Vance Joseph brought to this defense, still the numbers were down where they can't sustain victories. You have to be able to get up, especially points per game. That's the most important thing. Points per game, I don't care where you are, relative to the middle of the pack otherwise, but that has to be closer to 10, 12, 8, in the National Football League.
I know this. When I played, the only thing, as a defensive player, the only thing I was concerned with was points per game. I don't look at any other numbers, because you look at a lot of the good defenses, and we were a pretty good defense back then, and you can even look at New England. A lot of teams give up a lot of yards.
Kick a lot of field goals.
But kick a lot of field goals, or they have a lot of 10, 12, 13 play drives. Right. And that was always our theory, Hey, just be where you're supposed to, let them make the mistake.
Right.
Don't give them the big play. Make them take 15 plays to get in the end zone.
No 4-play, 80-yard drives.
If it takes them 10 to 15 plays to get in the end zone, they're going to make a mistake. We're going to capitalize on it, and that's what's going to happen.
That's right.
And so, to me, of every number out there as far as defensive stats, points allowed, that to me is the biggest and most important number you could have out there.
Absolutely. And I think same for offense. You go back and how many points are you scoring? How's this team been able to get from 18 and 19 points per game to into the low 20s? If you can get to 24, 25, now you're, kind of taking some pressure off the other side of the football.
Periscope, how do you think Jay Ajayi can improve his game? I think the one thing that Jay Ajayi can improve his game is do more of what he did well last year, and that was plant a foot and go north and south.
Be definitive.
The less that he kind of gets
wiggles
back there and wiggles a little bit, looking for a spot, that takes away from his game. His game is plant your foot, use your power, and drive through guys. And I think if there's one thing they could say to Jay, I think that would be it. Just stay with that.
I think so. Press the hole, get what you can, and let that offensive line carry you and find those creases for you.
It's funny, Jay. He had the longest, most longest
chunk yardage
runs of anybody in the season last year. So, just keep doing it. EDM Fit, what are you expecting from Devontae Parker this year? I'm expecting big improvement. I'm expecting this guy to be a guy that at the end of the season you look at, hey, you think he deserves to be in a Pro Bowl? I expect that kind of growth with everything I'm hearing, the way he's going about his business, the way he's going about working out, the way he's going about his nutrition, the way about his conditioning. I think as well as everybody in that building, are expecting big things out of Devontae.
If the offense is going to take the next step, it's going to be through Devontae Parker. You got enough explosive plays from Kenny Stills. You get your meat and potatoes with Jarvis Landry, breaking tackles, making big plays. You're going to have a threat at tight end now. You know you've got a good running back that can do a lot of things with the football. Devontae Parker is that chain mover and the touchdown maker. Red zone guy, get me the football, body up, high point it, 6 points, but make more 10 to 20-yard plays. Make somebody miss when you have the opportunity.
He may be the guy that benefits most from having Julius Thomas run down the middle of the field. Force those safeties to stay inside the hash and let him work
and let
outside.
The one-on-one on the outside beat somebody one-on-one and make some big plays.
Exactly. At the Man for You 55, Bo, what do you think? What did you shoot at Dan's golf tournament? Did Dan have a golf tournament?
Not that I know of.
No. I know where is it? Was it? I don't know. I don't. Trey got a place.
Trey's got a date tonight, I believe. He's got a big kickball game tonight.
The Bahamas one's coming up.
End of the month, right?
25th,
something like that.
And I'm not going to go because my brother is coming into town.
Nice.
So I'm going to stick around here and play golf with him.
Entertain him here, Grand Oaks.
Yeah. I'm gonna.
Nice.
Grand Oaks, maybe take him down to Turnberry.
Nice.
And Augie and Hero
Augie's
down
the
there
best.
going to take care of me. Go down and do that. And we'll do that. It saves me money, and it saves me a hangover. What's Trey? Trey's wanted us to get up.
Trey's either has a date. He's got
a kickball game.
Or he's got a kickball game tonight. He's got to rest that leg. That right leg, he has to prop it up. He's ready to go.
I heard Trey barely gets the ball out of the infield.
You know what? It's embarrassing. I got video I got to show you on that. It's pretty bad.
All right, John. That's going to do it for the program.
Hey, Bo. Thanks man. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
It was good.
Appreciate you guys watching. Appreciate you participating. Got a few people to come in, give us their over/under. So I appreciate you participating. That way, I hope everybody out there had a nice Mother's Day. Whether if you're a mother, I hope you had a great day. If you're a parent, or a son, daughter, whatever, husband, wife, I hope you had a great Mother's Day too, and a great weekend. And we'll catch you on Wednesday. Someone else is going to be in here because I'm going to be gone.
All right.
But I'll be back Friday, and Friday we'll be coming in from the John's going to be on Wednesday. Beautiful. John Congemi will be running the show on Wednesday. Did you know about that? Or
Jeff just told me through the mirror. That's right. But I'll try to be here on Wednesday.
Friday we'll be coming on a little bit later because we're going to be at the Dolphins Fins weekend captain's party.
Nice.
On Friday night down at Key Biscayne at the Miami Marine Stadium. So it's going to be fun.
All right, man. We'll have fun on Wednesday.
It'll be excellent. All right, we'll catch you then. Until then, have a good day, and we'll see you.